Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we will be talking about the horror film Pontypool. It was directed by Bruce McDonald, released March 6th, 2009, and was a film brought to our, not really attention, but for me, I had never heard of this, didn't know it existed until now. So, to me, it was brought to my attention, but brought to us to cover by our very special guest this episode. That's right, we got another guest episode from Talking Tremors. They've been on here a couple times. Please welcome Levi!
Levi! Welcome, Levi!
Hello, everybody! I'm coming to you live from my Tremors chopper in the sky. I hope all is good here. Thank you for bringing me on to this episode of Run for Your Lives. I'm really kind of scared up here, but I hope everything's going to be fine. Let me land the chopper just a little bit. I'm going to bring it down into the grass.
Are you going to be in the chopper during this whole podcast? Is that safe? Are you safe up there?
It feels like a good area up here. I'm safe in my cockpit. No innuendo. I have my buttons here. I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
Okay.
But hey, how you guys doing?
We are great, and we are so happy that you are joining us for this episode. We've been looking forward to it ever since we put it on the schedule, and yeah, Pake hasn't seen this one.
I still haven't. Yeah, I just no, I'm kidding.
That's okay, Pake. I have notes for all of us. I sent them to you. You have yours.
Part of me, honestly, I mean, you've been sending me stuff all day, like yesterday and then today. And Daphne knows this one. I was like, do I even need to take notes? Or am I just going to sit in the presence like, you know what? I'm just going to sit back, bask, let some lovely ladies in my life talk about this movie, and I'm just going to hang out. You know, like, I don't know. I am.
We'll teach you a lot.
We
take
will.
You into our loving arms. Yeah.
We will. For sure.
Like a baby screaming from my mouth, you know?
Yes.
Here you are, Pake.
There were things I forgot about this movie.
The sound design. Oh.
The sound design is great. Yeah, there was a lot I forgot, and we'll definitely get into it with the points, but I loved being able to revisit this one. I thought it was cool, and it kind of connects in some weird way, I think, to the world around us, I think, with some of the subject matter or the way that information is shared.
People do be talking.
Yes.
One of my main questions was, is podcasting a form of AMP, which is what the disease is called? Like, is what we're doing itself, like, are we transmitting a language virus on top of itself to a bunch of listeners or co-hosts at the same time? And we don't know it. We're asymptomatic. I don't know, man. I'm terrified. But,
I did not know that. Like, I didn't think about that. But, yeah, we could be.
Yeah. So there is a legit name that I wanted to say. The disease is called AMP, and this is from the book, and it's called acquired metastructural pediculosis, which basically means infection of communication with a parasite. Like, so these are AMP victims. So I wanted to get that out of the way. It's weird.
And not like aliens.
Okay.
Like, not like the xenomorphs or the chest bursters or any of that. Not that type of parasite.
Or the little, I thought you meant aliens, like the little, la cucaracha,
No.
la da 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 da. I don't know why I picked that. But Pink, I was wondering, did you like this movie? That was going to be one of my, like...
I did. I had no idea what I was getting into at first. Because I purposely, I do that even though it's like, this movie's been out for forever. I had never heard of it. So then, like, once Daphne tells me, hey, this is what we're doing, Levi wants to do this one, I'm like, cool. And then literally between then and today, when I watched the movie and took notes, I did not look at any trailers. I didn't look at anything, any synopsis. I was like, I'm going in completely blind. I don't know what this is. I'm just going to see what happens. Which led to the first 5 minutes of the movie being incredibly confusing. And I'm like, I have with just like his voiceover and then like with the car, I was like, what is happening? But I don't.
That's actually how I found it. Was a Reddit thread. Like I always like to trawl Reddit threads for like good movies, and that was in one of them. So I downloaded it, watched it without knowing, and it was like, oh my god! So I can't imagine without a trailer or anything. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You are not prepared for that movie. How did you find it, Daphne?
You don't really know what you're getting into. I remember the first time I watched it, I was thinking it was a zombie movie. Because that's what it was on a list about zombie movies. And I thought, oh, well, this sounds cool. It's a radio station. Okay. I've never told Peg this. I worked at a radio station for a very, like a year. And,
interesting.
So it was kind of cool to see how this, like, was laid out and everything. But I thought it was a zombie film. And
that's how it's marketed. Like looking at it, like in terms of what they did, like looking it up, it's like, oh, this town is infested by people or whatever, and it doesn't give you what, so you assume zombie movie.
Yeah. And early on, I kind of thought it was that too. Like when we're getting those, the interactions with Ken over the
chopper,
over the air, when he's talking about like, and all these people like. They're biting them and they're dragging them out. It's like climbing over in this mountain of people and they're all like herds and stuff. So you're like, oh, zombies, got it. But then once you start actually interacting with infected people in the movie, you're like, oh, it's very different. Like they are acting in different ways than zombies. Like some of them may lash out in that way, but it's all very just like whatever ways that like, because they're violent, but it's also this way of repeating weird things. Like, there's some things that I would like some more clarity on, like exactly what the plan of like the parasite is, like, because it's like, if you're just trying to like spread through saying words, why are you also like violently killing some people but not others? And
so actually what it is, and you can hear this in the background, and I was only catching it because I was listening to the radio play version, and they talk about it in the book. They're trying to go into people's mouths. Like that's their zombie compulsion outside of brains, is when they attack people, they're trying to physically get into their mouths. And you can actually hear them talking. Like there's one where like one of the herds it's happening and the guy is describing it. And he's like, they're shoving their hands through their throat and then up their mouth and like trying to put a foot inside of their like people's mouths and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's their like, and it's not, I wonder how much of that's actually about the transmission and just a broken part of the brain, just doing this. That's what you're supposed to do. And you think it's zombies to the point where in the book they describe them as zombies and they say zombies to the point where I'm like, that's not actually a thing. And I actually looked it up. So the writer and director of the movie call them conversationalists.
Yes, I read that.
I was wondering about that because they never use that term in the movie, but of course then I go onto IMDb for like my synopsis and things. And then when I'm looking through the cast on IMDb and there's people credited as conversationalists, and I was like, where did that come in? So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Those were...
Although the word zombie, it began to not mean anything to me while listening to the audiobook. I was like, I don't know what a zombie is. Is this a zombie? Am I a zombie? Like it really takes that metaphor.
You can't understand that word anymore. It can't be an infected word anymore. So that's good.
That's cool. That's one of them. Cool. We're safe. That's one word that I barely use in conversation. Awesome.
Well, I mean, Levi, you would not believe to the level that's at least one of our friends goes to, determine the difference between an infected person and a zombie in the first place. So
I actually looked up the root origins of the word zombie, and one of them is Nzabi, which is a deity or spirit of the dead, and then the other one is Zumbi, which is a fetish, like a fetish shaman. So there's
that's great.
I don't know if I got to the root of it, but I was like, I need to know what this word fucking means. What is this? But yeah, of course, anything for you guys. Love to extra research.
So we are gonna dig into this. We'll do it like we always do with a couple of production notes. It was filmed in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's based on the 1995 novel Pontypool Changes Everything by Tony Burgess, who also adapted or took a reference from that book to create the screenplay for this film.
I'll get into it. It's really interesting. He's also in the movie too.
Yes, he
like
is.
Twice. He's Lawrence of the Lawrence of Arabians.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah, legitimately. Yeah.
Oh my God. I have comments on that.
Yeah, I do too.
So, Pontypool was influenced by Orson Welles' radio play, The War of the Worlds, and I definitely got that feel of it. It definitely put that off, I think.
If you like the radio play angle, there is a radio play version that they take the dialogue from the movie. It's only an hour long.
Yes.
And
I
it
knew
really
that.
it soars in the
Nice.
in the radio play
Awesome.
format. It is awesome.
Awesome. So, Pontypool was 96 minutes long. Paik, bring us that synopsis.
Yeah, a radio host interprets the possible outbreak of a deadly virus which infects the small Ontario town he's stationed in.
Zombies. Like, that's what else would you get from that?
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
zombies.
Yeah.
Butt zombies.
Yeah. I've seen Doom Patrol. I know what a butt zombie is. Oh, yeah.
Would they be located on the general but specific island?
Oh my God.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, that didn't go.
Daphne with the references of a different podcast.
I'm proud that I even tried.
No, you leave.
It's
leave it
so
in. Leave it
difficult
in.
to try. So difficult because I want validation and approval and I don't get it. So
Daphne,
It's
you are
sad.
so smart and witty and funny and pretty and like I am amazed by you. Paik, you have a charismatic smile.
oh
I was trying to give him less compliments so you would feel better. I was trying to, just a little.
Levi, you gave me the best compliment when you sent it into Buffalo and said that I am the reason you're there.
I am. I'm sorry, Paik, but Daphne is the reason I show up.
Hey, I get it.
Except for that sweet theme song, man.
Mhm.
Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. It's goddamn good.
Whoever that incredibly talented vocalist that put their pipes onto that track.
And that musician, and
yeah.
God, I wish they would make more music. I don't know, maybe.
I wish they would too. You know what? On this podcast, I've been promoting Paik, like his little outtakes of songs and vocalizations that he does throughout like the last 200 episodes of Run for Your Lives, and I keep teasing that he's going to release an album.
Ooh,
It would be
that's
fun.
good. See, that would be good for a TikTok. If you got to Run for Your Lives TikTok, throw those up. The kids will, the Skibidi kids will love that with their Riz. No cap.
This is going to be like a sneak peek for you because we haven't recorded, and then it will come out like even a month after this.
Oh my God. Yeah.
This is even for Daphne. Because I took notes today on when we next record Buffalo. I've got something to talk about because when things happen to me, like depression stake people at Target, or
God damn it.
I have to like make those notes. And so I was like, oh, now I'm going to have a segment on the next one we record of like, it's Gen Alpha slang of the week. Just because I do volunteer work at an elementary school, so I'm like hang out with 4th and 5th graders. And so I stay on top of a lot of those things mostly pretty well. Of course, the kids that I hang out with, I mean, yeah, Skibidi.
Paik is straight bussin'. Yeah.
I know. The one that's weird that they were on for a little bit, but luckily they've kind of got off is like the Good Boy. They're not on that one as much anymore, so that's good.
That's weird.
Let's see. Of course, everybody's cooked all the time. So cooked, bro. But today there's no, because I play Uno with the kids a lot, like while we're talking. And so, of course, like the numbers when we're playing Uno is like 6 and then a 7. And then they were all like, and then they put them together and like, look at the cards. It's like 6, 7, 6, 7. And it was the first time in a while that I was lost. I was like, sure. Okay. And they were all like, yeah, 6, 7. I'm like, like
6, 7, 8, 9, motherfucker. What's up?
To where then I have to do the I'm an old person thing where I'm like, I get home and then I'm on my phone. Okay, Gen Alpha 6, 7. What the fuck are they talking about?
What is it? I need to know.
So, because this will be a segment on the next Buffalo we record. But, so it's literally, and here's my AI overview from Google. In Gen Alpha slang, 6, 7 often refers to the height of basketball player LaMelo Ball, 6'7". typically used in video edits, and also used as a reference to a line from a song used in those edits. So it's literally like a TikTok thing where like there's a video edits that have music and stuff that's just all about like LaMelo Ball being like 6'7", and then they go into like whatever edit, because that's what Gen Alpha does, is take just specific references to things and then run with them, which, okay.
We have no idea what that means. Come on, what are you talking about? That's never
but that's the thing, is like, the thing about it is it doesn't have an actual meaning. It's just, the funny thing about it, why they reference it, is because it's a reference to something. They're just referencing a thing that exists. Skibbity's the same way. Skibbity doesn't mean anything. It's just a thing that you say, and there's no further meaning, which, so honestly, a lot of like Gen Alpha's slang, and I've picked this up from like hanging with these kids, a lot of it exists solely because it confuses and annoys adults. And to that point, I kind of have to respect it.
Yeah, you do.
So you're kind of, well, okay, so like from what I'm getting is that you're saying that like our language can be like weaponized to infect other people.
Exactly.
And then change their brains, and whatever that originally was based off of doesn't really matter.
So it is fitting to the episode a little bit. It literally, a lot of like the weird Gen Alpha slang is because it's just a thing that can be repeated virally. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's mimetic, literally down to that mimetic. It is just being passed as information.
Because with these young kids, it's literally one of them can go 6'7", and then it starts a chain reaction, and the rest of them are going to start doing it.
Oh
I gotta ask my nephews
gosh.
about this now. Like, I have my nephews this weekend, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey guys, what does this mean? Is this what 6'7" means?" I will I'll ask an actual 11-year-old. So
it's like, I'd be willing to bet they know. If they go to a public school, I bet they know. Like,
they love basketball too, so that's a definite. Like, I think I'm gonna find out. I'll let you know if AI is right.
That's going to come up at trivia. I know it is. It's going to be in the general knowledge. It's going to be in the general knowledge. They're going to say, what basketball player is it referring to? And now I know.
There you go.
I could be the only one that knows. That, I love that.
Again, Pake is another reason why you'll have a perfect score at trivia night.
It's the only time.
The golden. Yeah.
I pay attention.
Hey, I told him he needs to come back to visit. So, he's invited to come anytime. When we have a guest on, our listeners know that we allow our guest to make the first point. Levi, we're ready. What do you got for us?
So this is more for the listeners, if you happen to be listening to this, that I decided to listen to the audiobook. So we're going to be talking about adaptation and writing in terms of that. And as I said earlier, there's an actual name for the disease in the book, AMP. And what I didn't tell you guys, and this is what was really interesting, and the book is terrifying because it is structured like an actual schizophrenic mind. You, like, the language itself, you are trapped in several of the people's loops as they begin to start happening. One of my favorite things is there's a woman who is incredibly smart, super duper intelligent, like talk of the town and everything, has a stroke. And then now she has aphasia, and her husband is infected and comes home, and she can't tell that he's infected because of the like schizophrenia. She just assumes he's actually speaking her language for the first time. And it's this horrifying moment where like she can't actually, I've been infected. Oh my God, I'm losing my voice. You're listening to me lose my voice in real time. This is now kind of terrifying. And I'll actually go off this point that you don't realize how easily your brain gets hacked with shit until you're listening to a 9-hour audiobook about zombie, or like just people repeating words, or entire like dream sequences that you don't realize are dream sequences, or one person's like schizophrenic perspective and moving around. So what I wanted to bring it back to in terms of the film is that this is a book that it would be next to impossible to actually film. It's like filming World War Z. You would need like an 8-episode TV show to really get it, but then also the way it shifts and moves around. But what I loved about the movie versus book is that they actually exist as separate entities inside of themselves. The author of the book and the movie, Tony Burgess, specified that obviously the book isn't the movie isn't like the book. The movie is more like a chapter that the book forgot. Like that was his exact words. And so when you're like watching the movie after listening to the book, you're like, oh yeah, no. This is just something that probably happened another 15 miles over here. Where like we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it in terms of the book. And actually, the character of Grant Mazzy is the only character that's in the book and in the movie. And he's actually a television host in the book, and they still kind of transfer that over. But otherwise, it's still very much this like, oh no, the Pontypool, the film, is a separate event that's happening at the same time. We're just experiencing it through these other different characters.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's, like I said, really, really awesome in terms of it doesn't diminish from either the book or the film. They now exist on the same plane, but in different areas. It's, and like I said, the word zombie, I don't know if that's actually a word anymore because they just.
Yeah. Also, just from things you've said and posted, and shared about that, from the time we've jumped on here to now, between then, I have hit buy now on Amazon for the book, so it is ordered. Because I'm curious. Once I get around to it with all the other 75 books I'm trying to read right now, but it's there.
I will listen to the audiobook.
I wonder, I want to get the book for the simple case of like, how is that formatted?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, you were getting all of these shifting perspectives all the time, and even narratives inside of narratives. And what I thought was really cool was, you ever have that thing where you're like thinking of a word, and then as you say that, like say something aloud, you attribute that word to a new thing. Like, hey, there's that buddy over there. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Like, there's this really weird. You hear the internal thought process become the vocalization, and yeah, I'm fucked up. I was trying to tell Daphne and Pagan, I don't think I can still succinctly put it together, that I don't think I should have listened to a 9-hour audiobook about a language virus. Because I think it's what makes this happen. You know, this is all.
Yeah, and
their notes are look like a ransom note. They're pretty great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And Levi sent me messages that seemed very strangely like Pontypool messages.
I was doing it to Pake too. Like at the start of listening to the audiobook, I was kind of like playing around. I'm like, oh, I'll be like joking, like I've got the language virus, and then I kept listening, and I was like, oh no. I think I do. I think I actually do. Like the messy car one, to tell you, is there's a sheriff, and the sheriff like gets in a car and he's like getting the virus, but he's still. They do a really good job showing it in the movie how you start to lose specific words as the I'm missing Mr. Massey. Mr. Massey is missing Mr. Like, and he gets in his car and he's like, messy car, and he's like, and then he's internally thinking, no, like there's a mess in the car. Like why can't I say that there's a mess in the car and that mess is me? He's just like messy in the car. And it's really terrifying how like you can lose all sense of communication. And I wanted to end on this because I thought about you a lot, Pake, particular. Honestly, you and no, it was you and Riley. Like thinking about like I was listening to an episode where you're talking about Riley is like nonverbal and like, how do you actually communicate? Because I feel like how you communicate might actually be a form of that language virus. Are you getting emotions? Are you physically using words to communicate? How does that happen?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm genuinely interested. Just like, whoa, how does that jump?
Yeah, with like 12 years of being with him, it's like almost telepathy at this point. But no, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of verbal from me, but it's just yes and no questions because he's got control of his neck muscle, so he can shake his head yes and no. So it's just a lot of going through yes and no, and then he can put emphasis and emotion on his face while doing those yeses and nos. So there are different levels of yes and no depending on. It's a lot of Like, so it's nonverbal communication, but there is a full spectrum of communication that he's capable of in that sense. Yeah,
that's where, like I said, There was a whole section of the book with the schizophrenic, or no, she had a stroke and she had aphasia, and she could finally understand her husband because he had the language virus, and it was really just their emotions like going back and forth. So it's like a form of telepathy because I'm not using my mouth to say something specifically, but you're using all of these other things to get there.
Yeah, other cues.
Yeah, for sure.
It's terrifying. I mean, it's beautiful and terrifying. Honestly, this is the last thing I'll say on the book because I could just go on and on about it. Is that listening? Honestly, when I listen to a lot of audiobooks, it's very straightforward narratives. First act, second act, characters and heroes and stuff like that. Listening to language breakdowns as an audiobook format, and then there's even parts where people in the movie, there's the Dr. John Mendez character. He also serves a very similar function in the book too. Of explaining via very metatextual language how we can arrive at a thought. How do you understand without understanding? How does they even state too that the virus isn't real? It's not technically a real thing, because how is language a real thing? It's sort of something we speak and our brains process memories to remember what stuff is, but how is the physical language of English a real thing?
Yeah,
it's not. It's a real question. How is it a real thing?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see the book break that down, because with the movie they tried their best to get that across, but it is a little more difficult.
It's speedier. It goes so much faster. Yeah. To
when we have Dr. Mendez going through that, where I was he's here to kind of get this across, but it's how much are you really getting with that?
That's actually the only one-to-one part in the book and the movie is he's on air explaining it. Yeah. And then how it ends in the so wait, should we even be talking right now? Really straight, oh.
Yeah.
Because I do have a note about that where it's Mendez, you're sure saying a ton of different words to explain the fact that you just realized that this virus is spread through language, and then hearing certain infected words causes a spread. It was also it is an insane premise that I've never even thought of before this, and I think it's really cool. Although it's the more he tries to explain it, the more confusing it gets. You have to hear and understand the word. I was man, I sound like I'm back in Bible school.
As I describe it, I'm I just sound like a fucking crazy person. I don't know how to actually put this into words. This doesn't work. And yeah, it's hard to. I love the movie without knowing that, and I've watched it before without that, so I know it can function without the actual explanation. Because I just love that thought of language viruses in general. That's where I love memes as an expression of just how do you transfer that? It just trends, and what you were talking about, Gen Alpha, 67, that's legit a type of language virus. It fascinates me to no end, and I may come to regret it. I think I'm scared of what my brain is. We'll find out. Yeah, but somebody else talk, because I've talked too much. I'm going to drink some olive juice now.
All right.
Well,
cheers.
Paige, you get to go next.
Good, because I'm just going to transition that right into one of my points that, I already kind of brought that up, that it's connected a little bit. It's just the idea of this weird language virus itself in the movie. We're hearing what's going on, and it, like I mentioned before, it sounds like it's zombies and stuff, and we're getting just Ken Loney's voice over the radio and stuff, but then we have that moment, that kind of weird moment. So we interrupt this terrifying and serious situation for a musical break of some racist-ass white people in offensive costumes and face makeup that are going to sing a cappella songs.
I forgot about that. I forgot about the blackface. I mean,
I didn't even realize it was brown face until the last time I watched it through. And blackface, brown face, yellow face. I mean, they're all bad.
Yeah, they're still dressed up as Middle Eastern people, and he's holding a gun, la 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 la, and it's this is very problematic, and these poor children. What is happening here?
I got to go to bat because I was listening to an interview with the writer. That actually is from his real life. That happened. He was
I believe that.
The Kid and I. And they were having people put on bronzer and then go on the radio and
man.
And he even said too, he's if I had a chance to write that again, I would not write that. That was not. I wish I hadn't written that. That was really bad.
But it's a good view of these small towns and like the kind of people. It was like, white people be fucking crazy. So you know, as a white people, I know white people are fucking crazy.
That one dude doing the as he like shoots the gun.
It's like just like the lyrics to the songs and stuff. I was like, this is all so problematic. It's like, why are we here?
I wrote it down too. What was the like something about filling it with blood? Like filling this like cup with our blood, like it makes us this sacred right. Trust us.
I know. It just gets so weird.
What the fuck?
But the point of bringing that up is that's like the first time we see the language virus. And it's right because they finish, and then one of the girls who's credited as Maureen, her real name, is kind of zoned out during like the back half of that performance, and then like she starts talking to Grant and has.
I can't remember how it ends.
Yeah, I can't remember how it ends. I can't remember how it ends. Then fa and gets stuck on these, and that's the first time you see that. It's like, what's this about? And then we're hearing more and more over the radio and over the communication with Ken and with the police officers and all these things about people and like just other townspeople who are calling in about this weird babbling and chanting. As they say it's chanting, but then we learn it really is just people that are stuck on those loops, those radio loops of a certain word and repeating it over and over. And it's just a part of what's going on. Also in that when they're like 75 dead, and I was like, that's pretty major for what has been described as such small towns that he.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Like their death count. Yeah,
that's a lot.
They made a point of this being these are very small towns, and it's like 75 dead's a huge deal, which makes sense why the BBC is picking up on it. Yeah, and then we get like the French. Warning and stuff.
The warning where they say everything you need to know, and then at the end, do not translate this message.
Not translate.
Hold on. Oops. This is some dead inside. Dude, open door. Like what? Like what the fuck?
Oops.
Yeah.
Well, in that moment,
that's a little late. That is a little late.
Yeah, but then like saying, you know, in avoiding terms of endearment or different, you know.
No, it's hold on. Terms of endearment, rhetorical discourse, baby talk, metatextual language, and then English.
Yeah, which is like how they picked up on like maybe that came from Mendez himself. Is like those seem to be more particularly the like trigger words.
Sweetheart. That's where it's all traced back to Honey the Cat. That's where
Honey the Cat is like
Yep. Because it says on the poster, very loving and affectionate, and love. They specifically say honey and love as words that like and sweetheart not to use. So it's like,
and then maybe you have more insight. I'm sure you do. The infected moment when our own Ken Loney interviewing a screaming baby coming from Mary Galt's eldest son's last dying gasp. What that was about, like the actual like baby sounds and what that was, because that's like the only time that we hear like of that or hear that in this movie. What the significance of that is versus we don't ever see anybody else that's infected do something like that. So where that came from,
I don't think I have an answer beyond they're always trying to communicate. So I think there's a regression that can happen if they're not getting a word. Like that's what happens to Laurel Ann is she doesn't get an actual word to play off. So that she ends up throwing up. The baby sound, it's still getting talking from Ken Loney. So, but it might not be enough to actually physically feed it. Like, cause that's something they talk about in the book, that the active language and like conversing and doing that and hearing things feeds the virus, that understanding. So it could be just a positive feedback loop and a really scary. I think of it like putting a microphone up to a speaker. That was my best way of like.
Makes sense.
Well, and actually Laurel Ann imitates that teapot at one point too. So it is literally any sound. She does this like straight up teapot noise, which is really fucking
That was kind of her first, like, I feel like the definite
head turn.
Yeah, that was the definite, like, okay, something's wrong. Something
like
is
way
wrong
over the
with
edge.
Laurel Ann. She has
that bitch is fucked.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see, and then we talked about, and you brought up Mendez giving that whole like idea, and then being like, should we talk? And it's this idea, but then Grant's response is, well, people need to know. So it's like talking and people hearing what is being said spreads the virus, but yet we need to warn people of that by widely broadcasting ourselves talking about it. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, what do you do?
That was one of my questions: was how do you fight something that uses the fighting against you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to stay away from words. So you really have to be thinking about every single word you say and making sure that they don't hit any of the... I mean, English in general, how the hell do you know? Because English as a language seemed to be a problem.
Yeah, because it's like if they had a list of words that were infected, it'd be one thing, but they don't. So it's like a game of Minesweeper where you don't know what thing that you say is going to be the one. That was like... Because what got Ken set off was simple
look at the
to
U-boats.
Sample.
Oh yes, and it's a symbol of the disease.
Symbol. Started with symbol, and then it turned to simple, and then sample.
Wait, don't you mean simple symptom of the disease? No, simple, sample, staple.
And then it just kind of goes from there.
Yep.
So that was what I wanted to talk about, was just a little bit more of those details of like that being something I've not only like unique and a new premise that I've never heard of before, but never even thought about. It's a really interesting thing.
How do you feel that it's now in your brain? Are you worried? Are you worried? Because I am.
It could be like if you really do a lot of digging, which you did. Like, it is something that like could be a really interesting analogy or deeper thought of like degenerative brain diseases and things that affect people's like ability to like speak and think and connect thoughts and memories with words, that it is kind of in that realm of something you can put to that.
Yeah.
That's where the writer specifically said that, like, so when you're watching a zombie movie, there's always like metaphors, like whatever the monster is a metaphor at that time. The idea of the film was to have the metaphor chasing you until the metaphor itself is played out. And then that draggled corpse of whatever the metaphor is still coming after you. Like, it was kind of like, okay. Weaponized metaphors. It's terrifying. It's not good.
Let's not have that.
It's going to be watching. Oh, it's coming. That's what the disastrous Rex, the Distortus Rex is. That's just a metaphor for our meddling in science. That's all it is.
Oh my God.
I love you. I'll always tie it back to Jurassic Park for you.
I know. Thank you so much.
So Jurassic Park was just so many years in advance, the message being stop fucking with the direwolves.
Yep. Look, they're not real direwolves. They're just gray wolves with like genes changed. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So how about you, Daff?
I'm going to take it in a different direction because I feel like we've talked about this. I feel like we've covered, or at least touched on, the items that you had. So I'm going to take it in a different direction. Go back to a little bit of old school Run for Your Lives and talk about the character of Grant Mazzy. But also, here's the thing. I have to do it in the way, I have to say this. His idea of growing an audience is very interesting.
If you piss them off, then they get engaged, and then they tell other people and piss them off.
Yep. And they're not going to change the station. A pissed off listener is a wide awake listener, and he ain't going to change the station. And so the character of Grant Mazzy, I thought, was interesting because it seems like Sydney's brought him in to be who he is, but a toned down version. And you know what that made me think of? It made me think of relationships where the two people in the relationship, they're together, and one of them thinks, well, if I get married to them, I can change them. Or if I'm with them, I can change them. I can make them what I want them to be because I'm the one that can make them the way that they're supposed to be.
I could fix him.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
it never works.
No. You need to be with the person the way they are because that's who they are. Don't try to change them. And in this instance, it reminded me of that because Sydney was trying to tone him down and restrain him when she liked the mazziness. She just wanted him to tone it down. And I don't know. I think you knew what you were getting in the beginning, and you need to let it fly or get a different DJ, because
hire someone else.
Grant Mazzy is not going to be restrained, obviously. He's going to do his own thing. Like, that's just who he is.
It would be like bringing Paik on a show and not expecting him to do puns.
Exactly.
Very true.
It's true. Yeah. So it really, for multiple reasons, I thought his character was fascinating. One, because of the way he thinks. I mean, as a podcaster, you think about your listeners and you want them to enjoy listening to you so that your podcast grows. I have never, ever looked at it like Grant Mazzy does, where pissing off a listener. Usually what happens if you piss off a listener is they go straight to Apple and they start typing their comment and it lives there forever.
I really want someone to hate watch.
It's engagement. It's engagement.
Yeah.
And it's like that whole, like, any bad publicity is still publicity. There's people that, like, there legitimately are lots of avenues, whether it is news or talk shows or YouTube channels, social media, whatever, that, I mean, farm engagement, whether it's good or bad, it's engagement, it's numbers, it's views, it's comments.
Yeah.
I haven't had it yet, but I'm hoping people hate watch my show. Like, I can't say that I try to do what he does, but if it happened, I would be like, I'm fine with this. Like, that's fine.
It's still views I'm getting. Yeah.
Yeah, you're still sitting in the seat, you're commenting, you're driving that algorithm up. I don't care. Mm-hmm. It goes back to the memes in the Facebook group. Bro, if you're commenting, I don't really care. You're just driving that shit up and more people are seeing it. So
he's like, I'm tired of seeing these things on my Facebook. Then stop commenting and the algorithm will stop. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Shut the fuck up.
The more you interact, the more it's going to come up. That's just what happens. That's what you're going to see.
As the movie tagline says, shut up or die. Like, if that's your options there.
Yeah.
I'll take hate views. Honestly, I'm glad you picked Grant Mazzy. He's fascinating
to me. Just even from the beginning, he fires someone who I don't even know who he's firing. His agent, his friend. I'm sorry, you're not my friend anymore. I'm firing you. So he fires this person and he's just going into work like any other morning. Going into work, gonna go in. He brought Valentines for his co-workers.
I love that moment where he stops and he looks at his hand and he's like, all right, Mazzy, be positive today. Which is really weird in terms of like that guy like stopping to have a mantra of like, all right, we're gonna be positive today.
He fired the guy, but he still left a Valentine's on his desk that he never got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not sure why you did that, but okay. And Roger was supposed to be a guy that came in. He never showed up.
I think Roger died, honestly.
Probably.
I have suspicion.
A very terrible death. He may have been one of the people that was torn apart or bitten or eaten or consumed or whatever.
Honestly, I had sent you that picture of the fridge magnets. And I actually like wrote them down. I think Roger was one of the first victims because if you're reading those, it's like Gorgeous Winter Death, Repulsive 2, Hymn Music, After Always Eat Meat. Like somebody like was in there and had a messed up brain and was actually putting some of these words together. And I wondered if that was like an actual symptom of Roger's. That's why we don't see him, is because he was having it off screen and then eventually.
Honestly, the first time I watched this, I thought he was going to show up, that he was already there somewhere, just in a locker, standing, staring at something, and snap, he was going to be into it. One thing that I found out, though, is Stephen McHattie, who played Grant Mazzy, is actually married to Lisa Houle, who played Sydney. And they're still together.
They are. They were together before the movie. That moment when they kiss at the end.
When they kill.
And
she has a. Yeah, exactly. I caught it the last time. Exactly. I was like, damn. And she's got this look on her face after the kiss that I was like, are you two fucking? Yeah. Okay, hold on. Oh, you're married. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because she was hot for him.
There was some chemistry there. There was definitely some chemistry there. And when I found out they were married, I'm like, okay, this would be one of the instances that I would be okay with. Okay, if they're together at the end and go off and are a couple, I'll be okay with it.
Are they together?
Well, did you see the end scene at the end of the credits?
Does that count, though? Or is that also another case of a language virus? That's where I thought that the virus was taking, like, visual form in some way. Like, that's what I was getting from the movie, like, adding one extra layer to our eyeballs in a very Doctor Who way of, like, oh, now the virus has evolved and you're getting this mimetic form of the... I don't know. I don't actually know. I have no idea.
I thought that they dropped a bomb on the building and they were
That's
dead.
what it sounds like. Yeah.
And they went out kissing or killing. They went out killing.
Yeah.
Slay.
The end of the movie before that scene after the credits, they were counting backwards in French, basically. And so I assumed they were going to bomb the building and they were going to end up dying. And so I guess there are much worse ways to go out.
Yeah. With killing each other while being killed.
Yep.
Or no, while being kissed. Killing each other while being kissed.
Yes.
To take the parlance. Yeah.
Yep.
By a bomb.
Yes.
Yeah. Hunty dropped a bomb, baby. All the way up in.
Yes.
You asked for this, Daphne.
I did ask for it.
Drop your thoughts on the movie and then sashay away.
Oh my God. Okay.
So you're going to ask me, you know what's awesome, Daphne? Is that I also picked Grandmassy.
Excellent. For a different reason, probably.
Well, it was a lot of Stephen McHattie as a fascinating actor. So the whole movie it actually goes against the show don't tell rule because you're literally being told by voiceovers and stuff. You don't even see the zombies till like an hour, 10 minutes in even. But his face, man, he is pulling some like I was getting lost in his like. This is an audio podcast. What am I doing? But just the way his eyebrows and everything would be moving, like right up next to the mic, and his like the way he would react to things. And I could not stop writing down his quotes too, like the way he would deliver shit. There was that one, and actually I found out that it's a deleted scene. That part where he starts like looking under his desk, and he's like actually seeming like he's having a breakdown, and then he goes out and he's like, "And you stop fucking with me!" He just like really like, holy shit! It's really awesome, and he just reminds us of podcasting. Honestly, that's what I kept getting from him in terms of like this would work as like if this happened to us as podcasters. That's why again I keep getting lost as we're talking about this because my brain was just assuming that we were already in the movie doing this because that's just what it felt like.
It was fun to watch. I had that thought. It was fun to watching like just the beginning of the movie, these in and outs of live radio broadcast, which still exists. It's not as prevalent as it used to be. Yeah, because we're in the era of all these dang podcasts now. So we don't have all of the like live daily broadcast interactive shows like they used to as much now. There are still some in like bigger cities and stuff that like still have their tent pole live broadcast shows, and
we actually have that in our town. We have a little tiny radio station that does stuff like that. So it still happens.
Yeah, it happens, but I think it's not. There's not a lot of names that people know, like Casey Kasem on the radio every day. Like you don't have that kind of those people anymore.
Right. The dedicated person that you associate with specific things.
Yeah, and he's such an interesting character.
I would listen to him. I mean, if he was on, and I don't listen to the radio anymore, really.
That's where I'm trying to work on my impression of him because just this way of I'm speaking as harsh as I can. I take no prisoners, which is apparently a Lawrence of Arabia reference, which actually ties into more. But he would, I would listen to his podcast if it was an actual. Yes, he would have me engaged.
Yeah,
and
it was like a podcast setup though, with very much like, all right, like. We can communicate with each other in our headphones that the listeners can't hear. There's like an extra step to it, which is interesting. And like feeding information and like, okay, now go into this. Now do this. Like, all right. And then having like Laurel Ann there to be like, and now we're just going to hit this button and here's the interview. Here's this person. Here's this. Like we just. Yeah. It's really cool. It's really well-oiled machine at that station. Yeah. The beacon is well run.
Yes.
CLSY Radio Nowhere. 6660 The Beacon. And I had to bring it back where he's a very unconventional hero of a horror movie. Like it's not it's really strange that he ends up that last third act with him trying to solve it and then running over to the what's his line? Today we're gonna save the world, and also the add up. Listen, we've been playing music while people are dying. Do you really want to provide to provide elevator music to a genocide? Like just his like, no, we're like his gusto to like stand up at the end, and actually that last third act is just him. Like, there's a little bit between him and Sid where they're doing the word association back and forth, but it is just him commanding the microphone till it literally all comes crashing down. It's a very, very interesting character in that movie.
Yeah.
Well, when he saved her, like by changing the word kill to kiss, like kiss and kill, swapping them. I mean, you could tell he was really upset that he could tell she was going, like that she's been infected. He's upset because then he'll be all by himself, and they'd already witnessed Laurel Ann's demise, so he knew what was coming. And just that switch and doing that, kill his kiss, kill his kiss, kill his kiss.
You sense his love for her really quickly.
Yeah.
Like they had that chemistry that was already happening, but that moment that he sees her like going over the horizon of self, he just like jumps in, and he's getting very little for clues. All he gets is kill. He just he hears her repeating that, and he's just like, oh, so what kill is another word, kill is love, kill is babies, and just his brain like literally watching him go through until he finally hits that perfect kill his kiss, and then he doesn't let go. Like he's like, I've got this. I'm gonna shake it into oblivion, to the point where that. I see a lot of people talk about that third act being crap, like on Reddit and stuff. But he's kind of failing. It's kind of beautiful. Like he goes on there with this big plan of like, I'm going to tell people that words don't mean what words mean. You have to not understand. And then he
stop understanding and listen to me.
That's one of my favorite lines in the whole film is stop understanding and listen to me. Like, those two things don't go together. If I don't know what to tell you.
That's the writing. It's really, really good writing, because he still is making sense to us as the audience. We understand what he's going for, but his struggle, he's like, I've got this big heroic plan, and it's not fucking working, and he needs Sid to like, rhinoceros, ceiling, swimming, fidelity, throat, laughter. Like it was really beautiful. Like it's one of those things like Sunshine's third act, where if you're not paying attention, it seems like a bad third act, but really all of the clues leading up to that point hit it perfectly. Like Grant Massey's a star, and he's not that guy in the book too. He is this gay dude in the book. It's a very similar role, but he's more combined with Les Reardon, who's a guy who's got schizophrenia, and Grant Massey in the book. So there's a little, it's funny, but yeah, go Stephen McHattie. That face. I wish we were a video podcast, because it's just like, oh my God.
Well, because when he's afraid, he's really afraid. Like you can see it.
Like he's thinking, you watch the gears turn in the actor's head itself, not even just the character, but you're watching all of those pieces just like slowly come together.
And sometimes these movies get overlooked because they're lower budget. There's not as big of like a distribution. There's not as much attention, and they're little hidden gems that are great.
I think the low budget was the benefit of this movie. I think that is what made it. Because I have like the intensity. It's so intense. They actually managed to make it very intense without showing anything at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is low budget done right. Where you have this entire crowd of unruly people and they zombies, they're surrounding the doctor's office, and Ken is just describing over the radio. And then the whole wall is exploded and all these people coming in. There's people being trampled and all these people are dying, and there's military vehicles coming in and there's a helicopter. And then when he cuts out and you're just so focused in and listening, you're like, he is painting this picture just through words.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not seeing any of this happen on screen, but I feel every bit of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I did see it, it would take away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like your imagination does so much here.
Yeah.
And there were other instances where they wouldn't show what's happening. Like when Sydney and Grant were trying to get to that other room, and the girl jumps up and is attacking Sydney, and they end up killing her because I don't have a choice. She's trying to bite
That's the
them.
official stance of the Beacon radio station is fuck them kids.
Yeah.
Hey, she had brown face. She had it coming.
Right. She was part of the racist church play. She
so bad. But you didn't see it. Like, you didn't see them actually doing it. You heard the sounds. Part of it wasn't even on them doing the kicking. Like, it was, you had in your head.
It was just cut up. It was just those two, and you were getting their fists down.
Right. Yeah. Like, there were a lot of instances where things were left to your imagination.
And that incident, that's where I stopped the movie, because she's like writing shit. That's what she's writing. She's like, I am Sydney Breyer, and today I killed a girl. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Her name was Maureen. I'm so sorry, Maureen. I'm so sorry, Maureen. And you can almost see the beginnings of the language virus in the repetition, even what she's writing.
Yeah. I noticed, I didn't pick up on it, but her kids, it was like Brandon, and something. But she would just write her kids' names over with, I love you, mommy loves you, mommy loves you. And it's just this.
Goodbye, daddy loves you too. Like, it's really like, wow.
Yeah.
And really then fuck. Also, I just saw that. fuck. But they do that show Don't Tell, like, and that's where it's like the radio play. Really, it's an hour. Like, that was doing a great job without even seeing it. Of like, oh, of course, okay, I'm fucking scared right now. I was glad when the meeting came out. I was like, cool, I can stop listening to this. I'm done.
Yeah, I read about that there was the radio play. I want to listen to it, except I've already got things pictured in my head. It would have been cool to listen to it before I watched the movie, just because then I could build it in my head. It's kind of like reading a book before you go to see the movie. You've already built these things in your head, and sometimes when they cast the movie, you get irritated because it's not who you pictured in your head.
Felix isn't MGK. Sorry. Bird Box. Yeah, because I think I've mentioned that when we covered Bird Box, when the first time I watched that movie when it came out, because it was getting all this buzz when it first came out on Netflix. And I owned the book because a friend of mine, actually, Jason, who runs this podcast for it, had recommended it to me. So I bought it, and it was like sitting on my bookshelf. But then it was just books get buried in other books that I'm trying to read. So I hadn't read it, but I owned it. And I was like, I'll get around to it sometime. And then the movie adaptation came out, and it was big and blowing up to where I was like, all right, people are talking about this. It's kind of gone like super viral. People are like, the Bird Box challenge and stuff, whatever. Like, and so I was like, before I watch the movie, I have the book. Let me go ahead and do that. So I read the book first, and I literally went from like, I finished the last chapter, closed the book, set it down, and then hit play on Netflix. And I think it was like a detriment to it a little bit because the book was so fresh in my head that like every little thing that was different was so apparent to me.
Yeah. You gotta be careful about that, man. Yep. It's like reading Jurassic Park and loving that and being like, oh, those are different things, man.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Where's Muldoon with the rocket launcher? I want the Muldoon and Gennaro with the rocket launcher.
Muldoon.
That'd be fun.
Clever girl.
It's not often you get a good book adaptation, so take it when you can. Honestly, the other one, Hunger Games, I'll always stand by the books and the movies on both of those.
Yeah.
I say, friend of the show, M.R. Carey. I'll give him a shout out.
Yes.
Speaking of, like, because you talked about, like, Burgess with this, like, having written the book and the screenplay, M.R. Carey, Mike Carey, who has been on this podcast before, so I said friend of the show, talked to him. He wrote bestseller, The Girl with All the Gifts, and as he's writing the book, he was also simultaneously writing the screenplay for the movie. And so he was able to change a little bit of things for the two different versions and stuff, but, like, he was able to tell both, knowing, it was like, I'm working on both of them kind of separate entities, and I think both of them are great.
Yeah.
That helps, because then you can, like, make it different instead of making it the same. Like, make it truly different.
And what works. You know that what you're doing in the book may not work in a movie, so you can flip it. And I trust the writer's vision.
Oh, yeah.
If they make changes, I'm in, because it's their story that they're telling.
I trust writers more than directors. Like people look at directors, it's like I notice the writer. The writer's the one that really makes all that magic sort of happen. So I'll follow that.
Little self plug. People should go back listen. It's episode 100 of this podcast. Our interview with M.R. Carey, where we talked to him about the book and the movie, having conversations with him about his casting process, like being like in like part of the casting and working with like Glenn Close and Patty Considine and all of those things.
All of
like,
them. Just
so yeah, like
incredible.
It's cool.
Yeah, he was very involved, and I like that because you get the perspective, you get the right perspective, and their story, they are telling it, and that just makes me feel even more supportive of a movie, knowing their involvement in it. Because sometimes directors and writers will be adapting something and they get it wrong, and it's like, okay, that isn't really. I mean, case in point, Stephen King was not happy with the original The Shining. Like, he was not happy with it.
I hate that movie. I'm going to come out and say it. I don't like The Shining. I don't know. I like Dr. Sleep. That movie fucks.
Yes.
But The Shining...
We've covered Dr. Sleep on here. We haven't covered The Shining yet.
We have not covered The Shining yet.
You're fine. You're fine, man.
I enjoy it, but I know that, King is not as big of a fan.
Not happy.
I still like Kubrick.
I think Dr. Sleep I think is my favorite King adaptation. And of course it being directed by Mike Flanagan has a lot to do with that, but love me some Flanagan.
Absolutely.
I was trying to think of bad Stephen King one.
Paik, I think it's your turn.
All right. I've thrown so many of my thoughts and my points.
He also picked Graham Massey. Sorry.
I honestly I didn't, but because you guys did, we touched on my other 2 points honestly because he's involved with them, and I've talked about some of it. So I think I'm going to combine what's left of my last 2 points and then I'm done.
Okay.
Which is
Damn it, Paik.
Yeah. And then I'll just throw in on other stuff, because that's the fun thing is we don't have to stick to such a specific this is your point, this point. No. It's a conversation first and foremost.
Definitely.
So the one other point that I had was the radio station itself, and we've talked about a lot of that, is Grant Massey as this main DJ, interesting guy. At first I thought his voice was a little too low and different for to be a radio DJ, but then I was no, the style of show he's on works with it, because it's more news, conversation, opinion pieces, stuff like that. And he's a bit of a conspiracy guy, a little bit. We can see that he likes to throw his very opinionated stuff in, whether people agree with it or not. And we talked about it. A lot of it is for that engagement, he was if people don't agree with me, then they write in and tell me how much they don't agree with me, and we have listeners.
Right.
I don't much believe in zombies or UFOs, so don't be starting on that.
Well, and he has that whole message about when do you call 911, and he talks about the woman in the car, and he was
very hung up with that at first.
He was.
I was what was the point of that? But I guess she's an early
infected,
infected person.
Who are you?
Where she's just I was wondering, because at first, I mentioned, with this being just first watch, going in completely blind, I was very confused by that at first. Who is that lady? What was going on? But it makes sense in retrospect. But and then we see Sydney
twice.
We see Sydney getting very annoyed with him, though, of trying constantly to keep him on track, and here he goes again, reining back in. We gotta cut you. We can't do that.
School closures, not disclosures. School closures.
So getting hung up on talking about this woman, which one of the callers offers the great 912 idea. Wonderful. 912. For things that you want to call the police about, but it's not quite an emergency. Which I kind of get, because there have been moments where something's going on. I was I need to alert local authorities to this, but it's not necessarily an emergency. So, I kind of get that thought of, But then the answer to that question, honestly, is you call the police department. You don't call 911.
Exactly.
You just call the police department. Like, and there's an operator there who will go, yes, here, let me transition. Like, let me transfer you to animal services. Let me transfer you to this. Let me, like.
But yeah, it's usually just a longer number, but you still call it in.
Yeah.
I know for reasons that I probably shouldn't know, I guess. They call me a lot. I think that's what it is.
I like that was Nigel Healing from our affiliate station, BBC. It was like, nice. Just calling the BBC an affiliate, whatever you have to do to make yourself seem important by a technicality.
We're part of the same podcast network, me and the BBC.
We're both broadcasters, so, definitely our friends.
He seemed genuinely shocked that they wanted to talk to him.
That was our friend M.R. Carey.
Right. They're affiliates in that way, so it's like on a technicality. So I'm like, cool. Speaking of, thank you all of you for listening to this Golden Globes eligible podcast.
Yes. That's something new. That is something new, Levi, that we learned today.
Really?
Podcasting?
The Golden Globes have added a podcast category for this next. Yeah, so I was like, so when Daphne broke that information in our text thread, I was like, so you're telling me technically we could win a Golden Globe?
Does that change things? No, probably not. But it's kind of cool. And the way it works is they have a list of 25 that they release, and then they pick 6 from the 25. So even if you don't get a Golden Globe, you could be in the top 25.
Yeah, we just got to beat Haktua and Joe Rogan. We can do that.
No, it has to be It has to be like TV movies. Like it can't be. I don't think that's it. I think it has to be TV and movies.
Okay,
that's what it seems like.
That, or because I know there's a lot of like podcasts that are like the true crime stuff, probably like where they're telling stories. Like there is a like.
It's got to have It can't be. Joe Rogan. It can't be. Yeah, no. It can't be that. It can't be like. No, it can't be that. Please.
That's not fair. People like Joe Rogan need more opportunities.
Jamie, can you bring that up? While we smoke some DMT? Jamie, could you just please and thank you? Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, but anyway, and then also on like the radio stuff, I just had like a little note, just like little side thought. I like his microphone. It's a really cool microphone.
I'm doing it with mine right now.
Yeah.
I'm just having this. Yes, it's really fun. And I want to pull it, but I also don't want to fuck with it. I'm not doing that. I'm just like, he's having fun with it. He's really enjoying his time.
Yeah. And then, so I'll go ahead and just knock out my other point, which, because we've talked about a lot of it too, is Grant and Sydney save the world. Maybe? Probably not. But yeah, I completely missed how Sydney hurt her hand. I have no idea, but okay.
That's what that was?
No, I don't know how that happened. I don't know how she hurt her hand.
Yeah, it was like he goes outside and he's looking, and then the group of people show up, and then next thing I know he's like holding her hand and there's blood, and then he's wrapping it, and I was like, what happened? I don't get it. Maybe it was like something that got cut. I don't know.
They talked about that one deleted scene where he has a hallucination, so now I'm realizing there's probably more. Actually, maybe more. I bought the DVD for this, so I'm going to find out. I forgot about buying DVDs as special features. So
those
we'll find out.
Then Sydney Briar is alive. Looped over and over.
Sydney Briar is alive.
Nice, that's a good one. For the outside loudspeaker draws the crowd out of the studio. Parlez-vous français? Oui, allons-y.
They allons-y. Goddamn.
Yeah. Because we have the doctor realizing that the virus is only in the English language, so he's frantically trying to speak his first language, which I figured was Spanish with a name like Mendez, but it wasn't.
It's German. Is it German?
I saw when I looked into it, it was Armenian, is what I saw online. I could. Okay. Sure. I was like I said, with Mendez, I figured it'd be Spanish, but I'm listening to him talk. I was like, that's not Spanish. I live in Texas. I know Spanish. I was like, that's not. I was like, what is he speaking? So I found Armenian online.
That would make sense because it almost sounds like French, and then he hits the hard German accent. You start getting a lot of V's and W's, so it could be Armenian. I would buy that.
And then Sydney and Grant have a little bit of French knowledge. It's kind of simple because they live in Ontario, which is not French Canada, but it's close.
Right. Quebec.
And so
Quebec is definitely more.
Yeah. So it's kind of similar to like a lot of people here in Texas where like I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I know enough to get by in a lot of cases because it's just you're so close by. So it's kind of a similar thing.
That's a great little turn in that moment too of like realizing English like is infected and then jumping over to the barely passable French sort of like, and I love that moment where it's just the we like just like the, no we like
there's like this like Franglish that they're speaking where like it's sort of French, and then when he doesn't know he's like attack un back like you know like
yeah.
Which is, I don't have subtitles on my copy, so I don't actually know what they say, but I watched it enough to be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, they're trying to decide whether or not they need to bash the dog. You get it. The gist of it from
context clues.
Yeah.
And then the girl from the racist play jumping up and gets stomped out after making some raptor screeches. Yeah, we get the kill and kiss, which is, again, he goes that full deconstruct the word mode. And he mentions like he did as a kid. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely a thing. I am familiar with that phenomenon. I did that. I've done that before as a kid and even as an adult sometimes, where you repeat a word over and over to the point that it just sounds like gibberish. It's kind of fun. I have been there. I've done that. So like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I love his quote on that. How do you take a word and make it strange?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really like, and when you start to parse that, you get to that. Like, well, you repeat. And she even says that you kill the word while it's killing you and you repeat it. And then he's like, maybe that's like an immune response. Maybe that's why we do that. And that's why they're repeating it, but it's not working.
It is a fun exercise that I've done. Yeah. If you just take any word, mushroom, badger. No,
shroom,
but yeah,
badger,
but if you just say a specific word over and over and over and keep repeating it to yourself, eventually you're going to be like, what is this word? What is this concept? What is the English language? What is reality? It is crazy. It'll break your brain.
Semantic satiation. I learned that from Ted Lasso. Semantic satiation.
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. So I was like, oh yeah, I am fully aware of that. And that makes sense. That's kind of how you would help it. And then you already brought up the quote, Levi, like the shut up or die. People are already dying. We're playing music.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. Like the way people are already dying and we're playing music. Like he's just like, fuck this guy. He seems very unlikely as a hero, but he just like takes that torch. He's like, I'm going to save the fucking world, baby. It's really, really cool.
I loved his sign off, which was, it's not the end of the world, folks. It's just the end of the day. This is Grant Mazzy for CLSW Radio Nowhere, and I'm still here, you cocksuckers. For a minute more. Yeah.
But so it was fun.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's kind of, wrapping up my thoughts there. It's just kind of the ending there of the, kind of where we see him trying to take that approach that worked with Sydney and then trying to go on, and he says very frantically, just like, how do I take that concept that worked one-on-one and make it a broad thing? And as you said, he's got this high hope for that, and he fails because
no, I think he succeeds. He dies, but you hear in the credits that there's a woman who's literally, she's talking about how like she couldn't think and she was repeating stuff, and then she heard that, and then now she's better again. She's like, I'm gonna go take my dog for a walk.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So it did work.
It worked. It may not work for everybody. It's very like
right.
It goes away in Pontypool, and then that's the other part of the end. Is then they start talking about how it springs up in a different city, but there's no relation to Pontypool. Like they're different events or whatever. But you're like, well.
Do you know there is a Pontypool, Ontario?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real.
Legit. Why didn't they film there? They were in Toronto. Like, come on, just cutting corners. No.
Wow, they couldn't go to Bixby. I mean, it's just like it's not that
right
far.
down the road.
Come on. Pontypool, Porphy-Lul, the podcast, and that typo thing. That was another one.
That is something I noticed is that they set on typo.
Yes.
And then typoo.
It's when you take a shit and there's a big wave afterwards. That's a typhoon.
Typhoon. That's great.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the post-credit scene, I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah,
That was very strange.
I
very
thought they
random.
were like Bonnie and Clyde, honestly. Like some sort of new age Bonnie and Clyde. Like they were gonna go and steal and
Let's loot, knock boots, and what the hell was the rest of that? No, steal the loot and knock boots in the free world. Like, it's very specific.
Johnny
language.
Yes.
Deadeyes.
Yeah, and Lisa the Killer.
Lisa the
Yep.
Killer. It was very interesting. I have no idea what it was supposed to be, but it was quite an interesting like sting at the end of the credits. You're like, all right,
Like,
sure.
That's where I said I have my guess that like that's just another virus, but I also don't know. Like, it's very vague of the point of that. And I would need to look more on the behind this. I feel like the commentary will probably have that, like the commentary track. They'll be like, "Oh, and here's the final metaphor of life, the universe, and everything. You just needed to buy this DVD." Okay, damn it, you got me.
So I have to ask you, Levi, did you see the spin-off that they did, Dreamland?
No, I just found out about that today.
Yeah, me too.
I just found out about it right now. So what is that?
It's this Doctor Who short from about 2008 where the Doctor and Martha are animated and they're at Area 51. Is that the right Dreamland? Am I thinking of the right one?
No.
Okay.
It was a Glass Animals album from a few years back.
Oh.
It's that season of Archer where they're in the 1920s, Archer Dreamland. Yeah.
No. I guess it was kind
What is it? I'm sorry,
No.
Dennis. I'm sorry.
It was, I guess, from what I read, because I only, it was one of the last things I found out. It's kind of jumped off from that. It's supposed to be jumped off from the post-credit scene from this one. But I don't know that it is.
Okay.
It sounded like some sort of officiating a vampire's wedding story, and I'm like, I don't know how that really fits in with this movie, but maybe I'll check it out and find out.
It's the same writers and directors. Like, it's still Bruce McDonald directing.
And Tony
then Tony
Burgess. Yeah.
And they seem to have, like, listening to the behind the scenes, they seem to have a really good relationship. Like, this movie itself, Pontypool, kind of came about because they're like, oh, well, I mean, Tony's got a script. Oh, Bruce can direct. Okay, let's put this together.
Yeah.
So,
and they had a plan. They had a plan to do 2 sequels. They didn't do them.
They're still trying to. That's what they
okay.
say.
Yeah, it's... Maybe that's all that post-credit scene thing was just like a little tease for that, because it is starring Stephen McHattie and Lisa Houle as Johnny Deadeyes and Lisa the Killer. And
okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
And Henry Rollins is in it, so yeah, I'll have to check that out. Juliette Lewis is in it as well.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Pre-Yellow Jackets.
That's where you think of Juliette Lewis?
No, Natural Born Killers.
I was going to say From Dusk Till Dawn, but that works too.
Cape Fear.
Okay.
I think it was Cape. Is it Cape? Yeah, Cape Fear. Yellow Jackets, because it's top of mind because I've been covering it, but more, Natural Born Killers is where I go, right away.
That's my Juliette Lewis. Fuck yeah, it is.
So it's just the next movie from that team with the same actors and writer and director and stuff that... I guess that's... So the post-credits on this one has nothing to do with this movie as much of here's just a tease for what we're doing next with these actors.
I'm more curious now. Okay.
So now I need to go watch Dreamland and go to the end and see what the kickoff point is for the third one? Is that a thing? Is this like Marvel now?
Yep.
I guess so.
Marvel horror.
I mean, kind of, though, before Marvel. No, I mean...
No, because...
2008. Well, no, not Dreamland. That's 2019.
Yeah,
so,
but Iron Man was 2008, so...
So, about the same time. Okay. That makes sense, I guess.
Grant Mazzy, you're a part of a bigger world than you realize.
Yep.
I'm here to talk to you about the language
Burgess
virus
initiative.
There we go. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I was struggling with that joke. Thank you.
Okay. Is it my turn?
Uh-huh.
It's always your turn.
It's always my turn. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause-
So I only have one other thing. It's really about the books, like the series of books. And so there were 3 books that Tony Burgess did. The Hellmouths of Bewdley, Pontypool Changes Everything, and Caesarea?
They actually say Caesarea in the movie. Like, Caesarea is a town. Like, you hear him name it off at one point. Like, it was like, oh, shit. It's a weird word, but
Yeah.
I know it.
And so the trilogy kind of is more focused on Bewdley, like the town of Bewdley. But it's Pontypool. I mean, that's what they did with this. So, yeah, the first book, The Hellmouths of Bewdley, it's a collection of 16 interconnected short stories set in Bewdley. And it has a mix of supernatural elements, strange happenings, and eccentric characters. Pontypool Changes Everything, of course. And then the third one, Caesarea, is less known and explores further themes and characters from the previous 2 books.
Yeah, there's a lot you can go. Like, just beyond the movie and the book. Like, there's the writer was talking about a sequel where it takes place in a weather station, and they're literally talking about, like, oh, we have a strong current of adjectives coming down from the Northeast, which will combine with the hard consonants. So you're able to get away with soft vowel sounds for this week while, you've got intermittent adverbs, which is terrifying. Yeah. The writer has a degree in semiotics, which I had to look up, is the study of language.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
Then it definitely makes sense why he would create this story about a virus that's attached to languages, which is kind of fascinating if you think about it. I mean, it's different than everything else.
Don't understand it. If you're listening to this episode, turn this off. You need to stop. Listen to me. Stop listening to me. It's terrifying.
Don't you dare understand a single word that I'm saying. You got it?
That last line. We were never making sense.
The one other thing that I wanted to point out, which has nothing to do with the books, is Ken in the Sunshine Chopper. And you think it's one thing, and then suddenly you learn the secret. He's in a Dodge Charger and he's driving around. He goes up high to overlook the town. Mm-hmm. And that's like the secret or the lore, and then it's broadcast out so everyone knows that Ken.
It's so sad. It is so sad.
His imaginary Sunshine Chopper, yeah.
Ugh. That little bit at the, like, when he dies and he's like, I'm really sorry for your friend, and she's like, Ken Loney was a pedophile.
I know.
It wasn't a pedophile. We just didn't want him alone with our kids.
Right. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, where it was just like, oh, something got the kid. Yeah, it was like, he'll be missed. He was a great What was that, Sydney? What? He was... Okay. So he actually wasn't that great of a guy? He was what? Oh, no.
No.
She even drops the, like, oh, that was a terrible obit. And I realized, because they're still on the air. So, like, everybody's hearing her say this.
Well, they just kept talking. Like, at one point, it was like, we really shouldn't be talking. We need to. And then I do have this to add. If language is a thing that is causing this virus, wouldn't writing it on paper also
make it about that?
Make it transmittable?
They also have the question of, can you read lips and still, like, any way that thoughts, like, language is just, because, like, sign language is language.
Yes.
Like, any way of transmitting thoughts into concrete ideas is language. Yes. So
I wondered that too. Like, there was a certain point. That's where I said her writing on the wall really felt like another symptom of it with the repetition, because you're like, hold on a minute. Is this not this is still this. Why are we talking? We should
Right, like she was already starting to spiral a little bit when she wrote "I killed a girl" because kill was her word, and then it just went from there.
And she's even doing it to her kids when she's on the phone with them. She's like, "Sweetheart, honey, 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 sweetheart," and you're like, A, those words are bad, and B, you're repeating them.
Yeah,
That's
like,
a really bad
Oh, I am loving all of the Jurassic references that have been on this podcast. It's been amazing. It has been amazing.
Kirby's painting tile plus Westgate. I saw that fucker in the theaters. I love Jurassic Park 3. I throw down for that movie.
I've seen them all in the theaters.
Wow. So Daphne is the crypt keeper. Daphne is going to die shortly after this show. She is not 67. She is 65 or 6. I'm not one of the kids either. I'm going to die too.
No.
No. Yes, Daphne. We're all going to be dead soon. That's yeah.
Congrats.
It's happening.
Wonderful.
It's happening.
Wonderful.
To the people in the future that are listening to this show over our desiccated corpses, so we have turned to dust. I hope you appreciate this relic of the language virus that we infected on the population. We didn't know what we were doing. I didn't.
We were so young, so naive.
But Levi, we're supposed to use our power for good, not evil.
Again, if the virus is spread by talking, how do you tell people? And that's not using your power for good. You're just fucked anyway.
That is true. That is true.
I am legitimately concerned. That's where, yeah.
So,
That's it. We want to get to my legitimate concern because that should have just been my third point. I have a legitimate concern.
Yes. Let's do your third point, Levi. Give us your concerns. Questions, comments, concerns.
I wrote it down as AMP, which was just language. Just the virus itself. It kind of goes off of Pake's point. But I also had that added perspective of the book. And I'm going to be really, really honest for everybody right now. I have completely lost what I was going to talk about with this point. I have no idea. I have notes written down here. Like, she is imitating the fucking teapot. Laurel Ann can read lips. Look out for U-boats. It is in the words that I'm scared to actually fully read these things. Cause it's just so I wanted to tell, okay, so what I found most fascinating was the virus itself. I was thinking back to the Splinter episode and how much I loved to nerd out about how the physical organism itself creates and replicates and everything that it does. That's what I am so fascinated by this. Do you ever have that thing where you want to read on a topic and you can't stop reading? You go to a Wikipedia article and you jump around and you do that. And it's not necessarily doom scrolling, but you're trying to learn more and more about stuff. Doesn't that sound like a virus in and of itself? You are infected with a need to learn something to the point where you have to continually search it out more and more and more and more. How do I actually know that that's not something inside of my brain that's infected me? And I'll go one step further because you both are the Last of Us fans. I like to get high. That doesn't seem like anybody. That's news to anybody.
What?
I'm so surprised, Levi.
How dare you?
I'm totally sober right now. I'm just eating my olives. I'm not.
I can't believe you would be the kind of person to do. What kind of person enjoys those kind of things? I couldn't even imagine. Honestly, I have no idea what that would be like personally.
The kind of person that decides to drink 1,000 or 100 milligram drink, and then go watch 2 movies and.
Who would watch Tremors 4 while in a different dimension? Actively in a different dimension.
I will never, ever forget that night because there was before Peg did that and then after.
So when you take hallucinogenic drugs, your concepts of things get really broken down very easily. And there's always that idea of in a trip loop. You can have a bad trip because you're basically looping thoughts back onto each other. That they describe it in the book that what the virus really truly is as an organism is a copy of deja vu. That is basically what is happening to you in the present moment is getting fed back, and your brain is still thinking that it's the present while it's only a second behind. So then it's trying to process that one thought forward, but you're constantly in like a present loop. That's where I said the thing about a microphone and a speaker. So it's really easy to lose that. And that's where everything that I'm saying, I always think about this with my own show that, and again, with podcasting, that we're infecting the viewers. If you're listening to this right now, you should, again, turn it off. This is just going to fuck with you. And I mean that like since it is joke. And I do in my heart, like, man, this is a really funny joke. This isn't real, I hope. But what I think about a lot with this is, so there's the cordyceps virus, which infects like insects and stuff and makes them want to go like higher, like always go higher so they can sprout spores and stuff. What's the human fascination with reaching the moon or going to space or reaching other planets? Is that not just another version of trying to reach the absolute highest height and then spread again more? Why do we build skyscrapers? We're always trying to go higher and higher and higher to release our spore and infect people more. How is this language virus not just another version of that? And that's where I add the hallucinogenic part in, because you realize how very simple our constructs of language are. Like it's like right now I'm trying to like feedback loop on myself, but my brain's far enough ahead to know what it's doing, so I can't physically speak on the thing as I'm talking about it. And that's what's terrifying. That's where I had to like this virus itself is fucking fascinating to me from a biologist like standpoint. And I'm just like, this seems like something that can be very real, to the point where I was talking to Caitlin about it. I was like, yeah, it's not real. Like, that's what's scary, is that how is English real outside of like what you write down and in books and what you can remember as A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's not real. And the doctor even says that when he's doing his little rant about like, oh, it probably sprung from someone's perception of something and then entered our reality, not even like universe, but our physical reality through that perception. And through that entering, it can then become real and actualized into our very like world and stuff. I don't know that that's not fucking happening. That's where I just like, I am like, oh my God, that is literally what this movie is. How do I know that this isn't already and it's rare to get that in a movie. The only ones, Arrival does it. Arrival does a great thing where it teaches you about beginning and ending a sentence at the same time. So you're always writing with two hands. And there is a level of like, when you watch that movie, your brain does get just a little bit rewired that way to like see time in that essence. And it's very rare to get that in a movie that uses its framework to actually fuck with us, like physically. It's really, I don't know if I like it. That's where I say I keep regretting. I wish I need to, if we do another one, I gotta pick a totally different movie, because this I am scared. I'm like, I'm laughing, but I'm legitimately like, oh God,
you picked this one. You picked this
I know I did.
You know what else stuck out to me though in the like thinking about communication is how quick things go down, and it's very easy to miscommunicate what's actually happening, because Sydney's trying to pull him back about it and not have him put all the information out there, but then it just goes like it's out there.
Yeah.
They're using what they have, and they don't even really know if what they have is real. But that's what they're going with. It's like, okay, we've got this. This is what we have. We're, you know.
She even says that he's like, well, it's this and this and this, and like, make a list. And she's like, this is too much for a list. Like, what you're saying doesn't physically fit on a list. And like, how do I write this down? You know, it
was kind of like Dawn of the Dead, the original, when they're sitting in the TV station and trying to put information out there. Like, they're saying, you know, this is what happens with the brain and blah, blah, blah. You just have what you have in front of you. Like, what you have is what there is for information. There's no... You don't really know. I mean, it was unfolding over the air, basically.
They were like, before they even knew what was happening, they were already spreading it. You can kind of hear it with Ken Loney.
Yes.
Because Ken Loney's so close to it. There's a couple times before he starts to break out into symptoms where his fear sounds like a symptom of itself. Like the way he's like, how, like when we're scared, we repeat things.
Yeah.
Like, they're coming for me, they're coming for me, they're coming for me. And you're like, oh, that's just a natural fear response. But then you're like, hold on, wait a minute. Was that the loop there? Was that the initial? Like Laurel Ann does it. The first one that she says is when Sydney says, oh, you probably experienced worse in Iraq. And she goes, yeah, not as bad as the worst that's in my head. And which sounds kind of all right for a moment. Where you're like, oh yeah, as bad as what's worse in my head. As bad as what's worse in my head? As bad as hold on, what did you actually say? And you start parsing it.
What was that? Yeah, and then she's like, I need to check on Mr. Mazzy. Mr.
Messy.
Mr. Mazzy is missing. Yeah, Mazzy missing.
Missing.
Yeah.
Missing.
Because he's missing from here. I need to because he's missing. Like, there's enough of a tenuous grasp there that you don't. And we all do that too. Like, we all like misspeak that's where they get you. The boys get you all the time because you're misspeaking, or you guys jump on each other itself during a buffalo, but if you miss it,
they love when I say something wrong.
Yeah. And you jump on it. Yeah.
They do. They're ready. It's like they are listening. And as soon as I get a word out of my mouth, I know, I can tell that it's coming because they're going to jump on me right away because it's who they are.
It's like they're infected with a language virus. They're waiting for you to I don't mean to keep tying it there, but it's really like,
it's true.
How do you know that that's not some kind of infection, Pake? You, Jeff, and Jerry are just infected with the pun virus. That's all
possible.
it is.
It very well possible. Could be. Like, that could be it. Yeah. It creates a world where you're nervous to say something because you know that they're waiting.
Would the name of that be Pancreatitis?
Oh my God.
Perhaps.
You're not even getting a titter out of me for that.
Thank you, Levi.
Wow. Now I do. Now I know how Daphne feels. Oh my God. That was terrible.
Yes. Terrible is what we go for.
He had to say it anyway because he can't stop himself. Very much like Grant Mazzy. He is who he is, and he is going to come out with it, and it's totally, it's a Pake thing. Like it.
Yeah, if any of the listeners really hated that pun, please get angry and pissed off about it and write in all about how much you hate, because that's how this works.
God damn you, Pake! How dare you come on your own show? Yeah. So Daphne, get me off this. If we're not doing Pake, because Pake's is done, just get me off this language kick. I'm on a language high, man. I need 3 adjectives and a couple grams.
Yeah, I don't really have anything for you because we've been through all of my notes. We have, and because you, Levi, had a bunch of my things that I found, so I do have this. One thing. I have one thing left. Out of a sea of notes, this is what I have. So, Tony Burgess and Bruce McDonald, they felt that the events of the film are kind of truer to unpredictable nature of a virus. And so I started thinking about, well, what in recent memory unpredictable nature of a virus? And so honestly, it got me thinking about COVID and how things were during COVID and how, Sydney says, well, we have to stay inside. We have to do this. We can't go outside. And it just reminded me of some of those similar things with COVID where we were all under, the scientists didn't know everything about the virus. And so it was little by little we learned different things about how it was spread, the droplets and all of that, and staying home and not being with friends and being isolated and all of that. And so it made me think about COVID again, just because it reminded me of that, unpredictable nature.
It's such a tiny thing that spreads and grows.
And screeching
from there.
racists.
You know, and all I could think as Daphne said that was that, did you notice how like people's language like transferred in between and from each other? And that idea of 5G, microchips in vaccines, was that ever real? Was that a real concept? Or is again that just like what qualifies a virus in terms of like people passing that language back and forth? Oh, I don't want to no mask off, hands off, mask off. Like where does that line end?
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
And you know what?
I don't think it does.
All I will say is this podcast is a product of the COVID isolation, because that's when we started it.
So what Daphne's saying is she loves COVID and it was the best thing that's ever happened.
No, it was not.
No.
But I'm grateful.
I love you, COVID.
I'm grateful for
You're
things.
my best friend.
Cough on me some more, Daddy.
All I was saying is that I'm grateful for something positive that came out of a very big negative. That's it.
Yeah, Pake is positive for a language virus. Tested positive. You guys got to just play me off. Oh my God, it's gonna be stuck. It's gonna be stuck. It's gonna be stuck.
All right. Well then, let's see. Do I have any other random notes? I've got a few. It's Laurel Ann. We haven't talked too much. Interesting characters like military, and now she's the tech person for the station. Gets the different inputs and broadcasts from callers and Ken Loney and his.
She has that moment where she's like, "The enemy's at the door, sir." Like, is it like she shuts that?
Yes.
Like, we got an enemy. It's like, what the fuck? That was really cool.
Yeah.
It sounded like she tied back into that military focus voice.
I think it's also what screwed her. Like, listening to that, I feel like that was like her defenses for that virus were a little bit lowered because of that military training. Like, it was an interesting corollary.
Always listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, the in memoriam bit that Mazzy is reading. There was quite a few of those names that ended in Drummond, which is Laurel Ann's last name. Also, I was like, that's interesting.
I noticed that.
Because I talked about a lot of Laurel Ann's death. It was quite tragic, except Dr. Mendez seems to be super into it for some reason.
That was really fucking weird from him. Like, it's he's eating shit. Oh, look at her. Look at her now. She's freaking out. This is great. Oh, wait, she's your friend?
Yeah.
And she pukes all that blood up, and it's no big deal to him.
Yeah.
Like, he's ranting, and then Sydney pukes, and he's like, yes, this must be the most fascinating thing in the world. Oh yeah, I'm sorry for your friend. But anyway, this is so amazing. It's really wow.
Oh, he comes in, he's like, your friend is sick. I've seen a lot of this lately. She doesn't know it yet, but she's hunting us. And I'm just like, you say it like it's no big deal.
So yeah, he just kept talking about her like a test subject more than a human being and a friend that was there.
Yeah.
Also, when Grant is on the radio talking to a police officer about what it was happening down at the
ice huts,
doctor's office and stuff. Not that one, but when he's talking about the officer's like, yeah, and these people going by and saying this chanting weird stuff about Hitler or something, and it was this is just random. I was like, the guy he's talking to sounded a lot like our good friend Mark Kirkman. And I'm 99.7% sure it wasn't him, because he would have said something about it by now if it was. But in my head, that's who that was on the other end, because the voice is not credited in the credits. There's nobody in the credits as cop on the radio, so it was Mark. I'm just going to assume.
Mark, way to go, Mark. That was
you did great in that movie, Mark, even if you don't remember being in it. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, once you start referring to groups of people as herds, you know it's bad.
Yes.
Yeah, Ken's switch and where he goes. The whole thing was creepy.
Simple.
With whispering kid with no hands.
Yeah. And I love how she knows who it is. There's a little small town moment with Sydney.
Yeah.
Where Ken's describing it and she's like, little Jesse such and such. And you're like,
yep.
Damn, this town is tiny. Holy shit.
Yeah.
If you know who it is, wow, that's fucked up, man.
Exactly.
You mentioned picking up on certain things where you notice somebody like starting to repeat things, and even like with the doctor, where like the word breathe is like his, where he was
breathe. It's really weird.
And then he'd go back and he'd be fine for a little bit, and then he'd say it again, and he goes, and eventually like, okay, you've got hung up on the word breathe too many times, you got to go.
I'm not sure if he dies. I can't tell if he actually dies.
You never really know. He's going kind of in and out of it, but when like the Canadian anthem plays and distracts him and the others to like look in that direction and see Grant and Sydney there, and he leads the other like infected back towards them, but then he's still himself enough to know to like barricade himself in there, and then he crawls out the window that he came in through and like leads them away, is what he says. Like, oh, they're, he's trying to he sacrificed himself for us, but we never know what happens after that. We don't know if he
actually died. I didn't hear them out there, nomming on him or anything.
You don't hear anything like that. Yeah,
you don't.
Yeah, and that's all the notes I have.
So anyway, my notes. Blah 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 blah. Actually, I did want to give. Okay, so I have a friend of mine, AC Staples, that has this podcast called Echoes in a Jar. That's little 45-minute short stories. And the first episode is called Expunge. That has a very similar premise to this. Mm-hmm. And again, when you're listening to an audio drama about a language virus, it just hits differently. Like, it is one of those, like, and it's the sound design, like listening to the radio play, just the little, like, oh shit, there's that back there. Oh my God, of course. Like, it's literally drilling into your brain that this is happening. So for anyone that's listening, please go check out Echoes in a Jar and Expunge. That's my one. It's a video podcast, but again, people, look at this is 2 pages, and then there's some over here, and then I have a new page of just today's episode's notes. So I mean, I love notes.
Taking notes while we're talking.
I need the information. There's more information. I need more information. Where do I find the more information? How do we find? If you've liked what you've heard, sorry,
that's a totally different podcast.
I know it is, because I need more information. I need it. Help! Somebody help! Help Helen! Help Helen! Help Helen!
Levi,
that's one from the book.
We are so glad that you could join us on this episode. It has been so much fun. I knew it would be. It has exceeded all expectations.
Yes,
it's been
I thank
fantastic.
You guys. Honestly, I love being here, and again, it's partly bit. And also, I'm worried about my reality, but it has been fun fucking up and picking this mind meld of a movie. If I'm back again,
you will be.
Later.
You will be back again, probably next season. Yeah. So be thinking about what movie you want to do.
Yeah. Okay, I can do that. Yeah. I'm in. You guys need to. This is a recommendation for both of you as horror fans. You need to watch more Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead horrors. Like, that would be one I would almost... There's The Endless and Revolution that I would pick as a back-to-back.
Oh, I've seen The Endless.
Oh, okay. So, have you... Oh, no. If you haven't seen Revolution before it... Oh, my God. Secret sequel. But, like... Oh, no, Daphne. Go... I'm looking at you now. Your screen's over here. I'm looking at you. If you've seen The Endless, you need to go see Revolution. Because it does a similar thing to this, where you're not sure how much of this is movie and how much of this is the narrative inside of the movie being presented to you.
Okay.
And then also Something in the Dirt is another good one from them too.
Something in the Dirt.
They're the 2 showrunners that did Moon Knight, Loki, and then Daredevil.
I was like, those names. Okay. I was like, those names sound familiar. I had not heard of the movies, but yes.
If you needed a mainstream reason, there's one right there.
Loved all 3 of those.
I love their Daredevil work for sure. So yeah. Like, I mean, all the stuff they do with Marvel has been really good.
It's very cerebral. Really, actually, my favorite movie of theirs might be the most simple. It's called Spring, and it's about this kid finding a woman that turns into a lizard in Italy. Yeah, and falls in love with her, and it's like so beautiful.
It is quite a movie. Peg, it is definitely a Run for Your Lives movie.
It is, and it's like, it is a movie about love in the best ways, but also being a horror movie. I just I do. I really need to rewatch Spring. Now that I said that. No, I'm sorry. Now I'm like, oh, that's just a beautiful movie. But yeah, any.
Well, you already made me want to go back and rewatch Arrival earlier when you said it's been too long. So yeah.
And so I did. This is one really weird one. This isn't a Run for Your Lives movie, but I was trying to figure out some movie that hits similar to what the book does. If you've never seen Revolver, so with Guy Ritchie, it's Revolver. Everybody hates it. Guy Ritchie fans hate it. It might be my favorite Guy Ritchie movie. And it does a really great job of showcasing different mental perspectives at the same time. One of my favorite scenes in any movie of all time is just Jason Statham in an elevator having an argument with his inner self. And it's like the climax of the movie. It is amazing. And you will realize that Jason Statham can act in that. But watching him, like, all of the different, it's so, oh my God. But Revolver and Arrival are they're similar to this. And then The Endless or Revolution, very, very same way. So yeah, bring me back. We'll do, sorry, to answer your, I'm not going to pick any of those. I'm going to go something funny. We need something funny here. Like, I can't, we've gone dark 2 times. I need a lighter fare for the next one. So
I told you earlier, go and watch Doghouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think you need to. I think it would bring you joy in a way that, I just think you really like it.
Tell me no more. I don't need to know anymore. Pate, do you got any special, like, what movies that I need to identify with Pate?
I mean, one we've already covered, but if you haven't seen Cooties, that's a movie.
Oh, yes! Oh, I love that movie. Yeah. Yes. With the infected chicken nuggets. Leigh Whannell. That guy is a great writer, director. I fucking love him.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's... So then, another one that we covered that's kind of in that vein was the one with Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes.
Little Monsters.
Yes.
Little Monsters, yeah.
Yes.
Great one. So you've seen those. So I don't know what to, like...
Pake, you need to step up your game here, man.
I know.
Have a horror podcast. I know all these. Look, I don't know. If I was on an episode of Buffalo, I don't know how I could handle these fuckers. Like, there's 3, like, Pake is bad enough. 3 other fuckers doing this. I'd be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to... I would have to come prepared with puns.
No, safety in numbers, Levi.
There's... Daphne, that's only 2 of us against the 3 of them. We're still outnumbered.
Levi, we would be like the Wonder Twins, and I feel like we could handle it.
Okay. Form of bucket of water.
Oh! We got feedback phone going.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So we got to...
Guys, this has been a wonderful episode.
People have some thoughts about this one, so I do got to go answer that.
I'm trying to get higher above here, Pontypool, and Run for Your Lives land. Give Jeff, Jerry, my love. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Bye, Levi.
Look for the U-boats. Look for the U-boats. It's a simple sample.
All right. Well, even though Levi took off on their chopper, and I don't know where they went, but there's still feedback to be done, so we'll have to get to it. And of course, if there's anybody we can rely on for the feedback here on Run for Your Lives, you know it's Catherine coming through.
Catherine!
Once again, as always.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine says, my favorite part of zombie movies is seeing the beginning of the apocalypse, so I really enjoyed all the radio transmissions as things unfolded. I think this is my 4th time watching, and the idea that words cause the infection still astounds me. I never understood why they always put the warning not to translate the message at the end of the message, but it makes me laugh every time.
You know, interesting that you bring that up, because that is kind of weird. Like, if you didn't want people to translate your message, you should tell them ahead of time, not at the end of the message.
Yeah, it would be a little bit more helpful. Like, I know why, I guess, that was included, but, like, yeah, that's a foreword. That's a forewarning, not an afterthought.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, if you'd like to submit feedback, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run for Your Lives Podcast, or you can always email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. You can go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links that you're ever going to need. And if you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We are available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. If you feel so inclined, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that is the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
We absolutely do indeed. And of course, speaking of sharing the love, you know I got to give those shout outs to things going on in the Podcastica universe around us and beyond. Lots of great stuff for everybody to listen to. Of course, right here on Podcastica, my other podcast, Strange Indeed. Me and Rima are running strong. This next week, we will be halfway through the final season of Netflix's You. It's, crazy. We're already like halfway through the season, but it's been a lot of fun talking about it. The episode usually would be up by now, but this week was my birthday, and instead of recording when we usually did, I told Rima we're going to do it this weekend so I could go see Bobcat Goldthwait for my birthday, and that was really fun. So I'm glad I did that instead. That was awesome. But we'll be recording this weekend. If you're listening to this the day this comes out, then we are recording our episode 5 coverage on tomorrow, on Saturday. So that'll hopefully then be up Sunday, Monday, something like that. So you'll be able to tune in soon for that if you're checking that out and listening over there. And then we'll be right back around on pretty quick turnaround coverage for episode 6. Yeah, so stay tuned over there. But yeah, if you're watching You, or have watched You, and want to go back and rewatch it or listen in along to us, definitely go check out Strange Indeed. We're having a good time over there. And then the cast of us going strong as well. Been some great coverage of The Last of Us Season 2 over there. Episode 6 coverage is out now this week with Jason, Ben, Eric, and Lucy joining in for the first time on the main coverage this season. And great to have her on that one, the team of 4 there. Great coverage as well, so definitely check that out. And then Jason and Wendy will be doing the feedback episode. I think it's probably out by now.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. So, yeah. You want to go check that out. And then also on that feed, on the Cast of Us feed, The Walking Dead, Dead City, Ben and Alex have been covering that over there. So they've got episode 3 up this week. You can go check out. So a lot of good stuff on the Cast of Us feed. And yeah, then the next week will be the Last of Us Season 2 finale. And
I'm not ready.
I hate it. I hate that it's ending, because this season has been so great as a big Last of Us fan, as somebody who played the games, and is just loving seeing what's going on the show right now, and the way they're adapting it is perfection. I love it.
It's been so awesome to watch. I'm not ready. I feel like there are several shows that are ending, like this coming week. Like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's going to be rough. Yeah.
Maybe to tie into that is, to go ahead and kick up the next one, which is the Handmaid's Tale podcast, which you've been on, Daphne, covering most of the episodes. And episode 9 coverage with Jason and Madeline this week.
Yes, it was a lot of fun to get to podcast with Madeline. She is a fellow wrestling fan, so we got to talk a little bit after about wrestling. Yeah, Wendy will be back for the final episode, so me, Jason, and Wendy will be recording that and releasing it on Tuesday. I can't believe that the series is ending. I mean, I can believe it, but I feel like they're all ending at once, and I'm not really ready, to say goodbye to this and then have season 2 of The Last of Us go the same week. It's just going to be hard.
Yeah. So definitely watching Handmaid's Tale final season, and you're not listening to their coverage over on the Handmaid's Tale podcast, then fix that. Go do that. Go check it. Tune in and check that out. And then, of course, the Murder Magnets podcast for the Peacock series. I'm always trying to remember.
It is Peacock.
The Murder Magnets podcast, which covers the Peacock series Poker Face. Season 2, episode 3 and 4. Episodes up this week. Of course, Penny helming that. And she's got Pirate Core Entertainment podcasters Becky and Mandy joining her for that. So definitely check that out. You're a Poker Face fan there, go check out Murder Magnets and go get their coverage a listen as well. Speaking of the Pirate Core team over there, Pirate Core Entertainment podcast network outside of Podcastica, we got to give some love to them as well. A lot of good stuff. So speaking of Becky and Mandy, They did a full like end of season spoiler review coverage of The Pit. Now that they've finished off the whole season there, so you can check that out. I believe there's a new Dinner for Her podcast coming up soon.
Yeah.
So definitely be on the lookout for that one. And then on Adrenaline Cinema, Mark is joined by Becky as they're covering Thunderbolts, the newest Marvel MCU film. You go check out their coverage of that over on Adrenaline Cinema. And then lastly, for them, Panels to Pixels, which is like the flagship show that started everything over at Pirate Corps. They're celebrating their 300th episode, and they will be covering the 1980 film Superman 2.
Yes, I'm excited for that. I mean, I think about when we hit 200 episodes, what a big milestone it was for us, so...
Yeah.
It's kind of cool for them to be reaching 300.
Yeah, so big happy 300 to Panels. Love you, Mark. You've been doing some great work over there. And, yeah, of course, outside of that, then we got to always give some love to our friends over at TV Podcast Industries, who've also been doing incredible coverage and work with The Last of Us Season 2. So go give them some love as well. And then if you want to hear more of me and Daphne, always plug it to you. Of course, our other podcast, the Buffalo Podcast, joined by our friends Jeff and Jerry, where we, you know, take a break from the movies and the TV shows, do something a little different, have some fun, trying to make each other laugh, cracking jokes, being funny boys and girl, and playing different games, rotating who's running the games, and just, yeah, having a good time over there. We always have a blast. We have a good time. Have some special stuff coming up over on that podcast soon, so definitely go check that out. We've been having a blast with it.
We have. As crazy as you guys drive me sometimes, it's just always one of my favorite parts of the week. So maybe I shouldn't tell you that, but it is.
No.
Now you know.
Our heads could not get bigger.
They couldn't. They definitely could not.
Yeah, after you go check out all of that wonderful stuff, you know you can come right back here to Run for Your Lives next week. We'll have something fresh, fun, and new for you. Daphne, what are we doing next week?
Well, speaking of new, I mean, 2 elite snipers are stationed in isolated towers on opposite sides of a vast classified gorge. They are tasked with guarding against an unknown lurking threat. As they maintain their vigil, a forbidden connection forms between them, challenging their mission and leading them to confront the enigmatic dangers hidden below. We are covering Scott Derrickson's 2025 film, The Gorge.
Yes. Indeed.
Not going to give it away, but I have opinions on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't make for a very good podcast if we didn't have opinions.
No,
so
it definitely wouldn't.
So I think it's a good thing that we've got some of those that we can share next week.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely make sure to go check that out and give it a watch. It's over on Apple TV. I know that for sure. That's where I watched it, so you can give that a watch and get back to us next week. Give us some feedback for that one. It's a newer movie. So yeah, let us know what you think.
Definitely. We'll be back next week to let you know what we think.
Mm-hmm.
With that, we've reached the end of another exciting, fun-filled episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bubbles. 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 Bubbly. Bubbly, a little bit of the bubbly, bye, son. No, but, Buffalo.